In 1492, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain commissioned Italian explorer Christopher Columbus to sail across the Atlantic Ocean in hope of finding a westward route to India. He landed in the Bahamian Islands in October of that year. Thinking he was in the East Indies of Asia, he called the inhabitants of the islands Los Indios, or the Indians. Columbus' fateful voyage led to countless other expeditions to the New World, which in turn led to colonization. After several unsuccessful attempts to colonize the Americas, Jamestown was founded by England in 1607 in what is now Virginia. After 1615, the colony was transformed from what amounted to little more than a trading post ruled by iron discipline and hated by most of its inhabitants into a commonwealth that began to open opportunities for a new and wonderful life for large numbers of ambitious and adventurous Englishmen. Two significant events occurred in Virginia in 1619 that would have a profound effect upon the future of the United States. One was the creation of the first colonial assembly, the House of Burgesses. Its powers were limited, but for the first time in America, the inhabitants were represented in the governmental structure. The second event was the introduction of slavery to the colony and the beginning of an institution which, running counter to the development of democracy, would split the Union asunder in 1861. By the end of the colonial period, there were close to 400,000 black slaves in the colonies. In 1620, a group of English Puritans, known as Pilgrims, left England to escape religious persecution and sailed to America on their ship, the Mayflower. Before they reached the New World at Plymouth Rock, the Pilgrims all agreed to follow the Mayflower Compact. This constitution required them to live in a civil society according to their own laws. They established the colony of Plymouth, which was later integrated into the much larger colony of Massachusetts. A year after landing in the New World, the Pilgrims came in contact with an Indian tribe known as the Wampanoags. The Indians taught the Pilgrims which crops to plant and where to fish. During the harvest season, the Pilgrims and Indians gathered for a 3-day festival to give thanks for their bounty. The celebration, they decided, would become an annual event. Today, we know this holiday as Thanksgiving. In 1630, with the arrival of the Puritans, the tempo of colonization increased. By 1640, there were 20,000 settlers in Massachusetts. Dissidents from the Puritan theocracy founded Connecticut and Rhode Island. In the meantime, the Dutch had settled in New York, and Lord Baltimore had established a colony for Catholics in Maryland. By the early 1700s, England had settled the remaining colonies of New Hampshire, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, North and South Carolina, and Georgia. The distinctive features of colonial society were the increase in fluidity throughout the social structure and the increased size of the middle class. Thousands of immigrants came to the New World as indentured servants, but later found ample opportunity to move into the middle class. Nowhere else in the Western world was the middle class as large or as socially and politically important, and not surprisingly, nowhere else was social solidarity, liberty, equality, and self-government so prevalent. By 1770, voting privileges were available to a larger portion of the population than anywhere in the Western world. But there can be no doubt about certain groups who were automatically disenfranchised: all women, all slaves, and all indentured servants. In addition, the ownership of property was a general requirement,